are now listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Try to vary your vocabulary using accurate synonyms. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington. I'm from England and I've been teaching IELTS now for over 10 years. We were the first ones to launch a podcast related to IELTS. And why did we launch it? Well, I moved away from England over 20 years ago and I decided I was going to be an English teacher. You know, a lot of English people do. Irish, Scottish, any native English speaker quickly realizes that there's a lot of demand for English teachers. However, a lot of them also realize it's kind of like easy money, and this is why you probably had quite a poor quality English teacher in your life. It's very, very common. They get in there for the wrong reasons. And I got in for the wrong reasons also. I needed to eat. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of demand for English teaching. I'll do this. But then after a while, after about a year, I was like, okay, I'm going to specialize in IELTS. I don't want to teach little kids. I don't want to teach adults. I don't want to teach business students. I want results. I want results for IELTS students because one, they're the most motivating. They're the most motivated, you know. Two, is so much more fulfilling. You can see the results with them. You know, what you're teaching them is going to get them to Canada, is going to get them to Australia, is going to get them to the UK. And that's so much more fulfilling than, you know, a kid who's learning his colours, for example, you know? So this is why one of the main reasons I got into IELTS is just so much more results driven. And if you get a reputation for getting students band 7, 8 or 9, you know, then you're proficient. Just one other thing before we jump into it. There are only 3 industries in the world where the seller is not 100% in control of the outcome. For example, if I make shoes, I'm 100% in control of the quality of the shoes, for example, you know. However, with education, agriculture and medicine, the seller is not in 100% of control of the outcome. Okay? And you can hear this with a lot of tutors. They might say, I can't learn English for you, and all of this. And this really infuriates me because, as you know, I'm a results-driven person. And I took it as my responsibility to get you the band 7, 8 or 9, you know? It just doesn't sit well with me, any student of mine, anybody who listens to this podcast, getting less than what they deserve, especially when it's such a big exam, when there's so much riding on it, you know? This is going to change the course of your life. If you get that qualification from the English university, if you get that permanent residency in Australia, if you manage to get your family out of Dubai and into Canada, while the opportunity's there, you've changed the course of history, of your family history, you know? You got them to a better place. So this is why it's just so important. This is what basically just gets me up every morning. You know, this is what motivates me. This is what motivated me to launch this free online essay checking tool. Because now we're getting about, I don't know, over 800 users a day on this tool. We only launched it a couple of months ago, properly launched it anyway. And just one side note, before we jump into today's tutorial about varying your vocabulary and using accurate synonyms, I just want to mention that at the moment, it's the best time ever to use this online essay checking tool because in a couple of weeks, maybe in March or maybe in April, the generosity of the system, I don't think if that's the right word, but at the moment you can get band scores for every criteria. In the future, that is going to disappear. So if you want to get your free band score evaluation for every criteria, use it today. If you want detailed explanation of your criteria, why you got a band 6.5 in your lexical resource, then you should upgrade and you'll get a very detailed description of why your score is 6.5. And also, when you do upgrade, you'll get a free mini course on essay writing, how to structure your essay, how to get ideas, how to improve your vocab. Let's jump into it today. So try to vary your vocabulary using accurate synonyms. Now, there's two approaches to this. We can use different synonyms for kind of like the generic words in our essay. So if we're using the word good, do, or get, any of those three have a long list of better, more accurate synonyms. Now, this is part of what we teach with our vocabulary. So after you finish with our vocabulary module in our sentence guide course, once you've finished writing your essay, you go back and you look for the basic vocabulary and you try and upgrade it. And you do this when you confidently know that good can be substituted for excellent or reliable. It depends on the context. Very rarely can you switch them out, but in some cases you can, and other times you need a more accurate synonym. You can't just replace it willy-nilly, as they say. Okay, so when you are upgrading your vocabulary, you want to look for basic words. These include good, bad, big, small, do, get. There are a lot of other basic ones that we can definitely upgrade. It's easier when you've got your essay in front of you and you've got a thesaurus open, for example, and you can just go in through and interchanging. This is why having the online essay checking tool open is useful, because you do get suggestions. In most cases, they are accurate suggestions to upgrade words that are not only basic, but have also been repeated numerous times. So it's one very effective way to improve your score. Now, another way, my favorite way, is with vocabulary, with synonyms. And in some cases we do repeat this vocabulary, but if we do it correctly, it actually enhances our essay. How does it enhance it, Ben? Well, it keeps it coherent. It keeps it all tied together. Let me give you an example. So we have the question, criminals need to be put in jail and locked away from society. Other penal systems rarely work and are more expensive. Do you think the advantages of jail outweigh the disadvantages? So there's quite a lot to unpack. I'm not going to go into idea generation or checking if your idea is actually accurate. We'll assume we've done all of that and we dropped our ideas into this beautiful framework, and now we've got this coherent body paragraph and a coherent introduction. Let's go. Criminals are often found in most societies, and dealing with them is an incredibly challenging dilemma. You see? Slightly more rarer vocabulary. I believe although there are newer forms of punishment available, the tried and tested methods are definitely safer over time. There we go. Okay. This essay will look at both sides using examples from the US and new tracking technology to demonstrate points and prove arguments. So here, let's just work backwards. We've got new tracking technology, and that links back to, in the previous sentence, newer forms of punishment available. So it links. Okay, those two sentences are linked clearly together. Then, at the end of the second sentence, the tried and tested methods are definitely safer over time. Okay, this essay will look at both sides using examples from the US. Tried and tested methods and the US. So obviously I'm going to talk about the United States later in the essay. Again, it all links together. And in the essay that I have in front of me, this is taken from one of our courses, but the words are highlighted in different colours. So all the blue ones in the essay that I'm looking at now: tried and tested, United States, jailing, world's oldest forms of punishments, system, because of the system, centuries. All of this links together, okay? All of it is related to jailing, the benefits for society, the system, the protection for the citizens, all of it. And it goes back to what we said right at the beginning: tried and tested methods and the United States. And in our next paragraph, we talk about tried and tested methods, and we talk about the example in the US. Okay, so it all links back. Now, here is the body paragraph. Jailing is one of the world's oldest forms of punishments, and is probably also one of the most common forms of dissuading criminals. Okay, so in the question we have criminals need to be put in jail. I start my paragraph off with jailing. I'm showing the examiner I've got this extensive vocabulary. And locked away from society. Okay? Where is it? It's probably one of the most common forms of dissuading criminals. This is because of the benefits society gets from putting away their criminals is considerable. Okay? Away from society, benefits for society, putting their criminals away, considerable benefits. Okay? Now I repeat the word benefits just to show that my essay is coherent. And this body paragraph all links together. I'm developing our points. Among these benefits is the fact that it is a system that protects law-abiding citizens because the criminals are behind bars. You see? So in the question we have systems. In my answer I put a system that protects law-abiding citizens. Okay? What do we have in the question? We have locked away from society. And I'm talking about protecting law-abiding citizens. It's the same thing. Okay? And I develop it further. Because the criminals are behind bars. It's another way of saying jail. It all links together. Furthermore, because the system has been around for centuries, governments can actually budget for the cost of housing the criminals. Again, housing the criminals. It's another way of saying the jailing system. For example, in the US, because the average annual cost is known per prisoner, the federal government knows exactly how much to allocate for jailing. This is one of the advantages. Talking about the cost, the question asks me about the costs. It talks about jailing outweighing the other systems that are more expensive. Okay? So I'm just going with the question here, but I've got lots of vocabulary, and I've developed the question. I've got lots of vocabulary all related to the question. All the words that link together in this body paragraph are jailing, system for the question, criminals, punishment, law-abiding citizens, behind bars, housing the criminals, prisoner, jailing, all of the federal government. All of this links back to the question. As I said in a previous podcast, we're double, triple checking that it does link back. In this case, it did. And it linked back very accurately. Now, here is a bonus point for you. When you're thinking of ideas, when you're developing your answer, if you can link it in some way to cost, you might have to be a bit creative, but a lot of the time, I'd say at least half of the questions, you can think of a cost reason. Now, if you think of a cost reason for half of the questions, if you can do this, you're probably going to be using similar vocabulary over and over again. If you master this vocabulary, then you're on your way to producing grammatically accurate sentences related to the cost. Okay? So in this case, I'm talking about the budget. I'm talking about allocating money for the budget, the cost argument. Okay, we can talk about the cost argument for remote work. We can talk about the cost argument for exploring new minerals and fossil fuels in remote areas. We can use the cost argument for lots of different essays. But that's not the focus of this podcast. I digress. Sorry. As one student once said, I digest, when he went off topic. Like, really, you digest? Okay, thanks. Anyway, let's jump into it. So, as I was saying, we're going to try and vary our vocabulary using accurate synonyms. So having a deep knowledge of the topics helps. This is one module we cover in our online course. We tell you how to get a deeper knowledge. It's relatively straightforward. And we tell you how to do it in a way that you boost your vocabulary and you boost your academic vocabulary. So that not only are you going to benefit with the vocabulary, you're going to get a system, you're going to get a method for boosting your own academic vocabulary. Now, as I said, not only do we want to boost our synonyms, topic-specific vocabulary, but we want to go through and upgrade our essay with the base and get rid of some of the basic terms such as good, bad, big, small, do, get, give. All of these are kind of basic and we can upgrade them. Just one last thing though before I finish. When we do upgrade our vocabulary and we do go through it and we're checking it and we're trying to substitute it and we're trying to boost our score, go wild at home. Go wild when you're submitting your essay. If you're getting feedback, if you're using our tool, go wild. Try the alternatives that it suggests. In most cases they are accurate and you will get a better score. If you want to be 100% certain, you need to get a human essay correction. The AI isn't there yet. It is improving month on month, it definitely is, but it's still not 100% perfect. However, we've got to look at the cost relationship. We've got to look at the cost relationship, You'll get a better tool with better feedback when you upgrade. 2, it's still pennies on the dollar, as they say. It's still far cheaper because you can submit as many essays as you want for I think the cheapest is like $6 a month or something ridiculous like that. Submit as many essays as you want, test, try different synonyms, do some research before you write your essay, do your brainstorming before your exam, all of this, start boosting it, get your feedback, boost the quality of your essays. And then come exam day, you will be more than ready. You'll be supremely prepared. My current advice is to use the tool when you're feeling motivated. Okay? Get the tool, or maybe you're not feeling motivated and you can use it like a gym subscription. Like, I know if I buy something, I'm going to use it. This is why I bought my gym subscription. I'm bored as heck when I go there. But I know because I've paid, I'm going to use it. There's no way I'm wasting my cash. Okay, so maybe you're like this. I think this is because of my Yorkshire roots. But anyway, if you buy your essay subscription service, and you can join this tool, you're probably going to be more motivated. And for $6, that's the price of a meal in some countries. Buy your essay subscription tool, start submitting essays, get your feedback, and as I was saying, do this for fast improvement, and then when you think you've improved your essays considerably, then have a look at some human essay correction services. We've got one with our ex-IELTS examiners, and they can give you some feedback, and they can say, okay, you need to carry on working, or you need to do X, Y, Z. Okay? And then also, by the way, when you do join our online essay correction service, you will get a free course at the moment that helps you with the essay structure, upgrading your vocabulary, getting ideas, And we even talk about the C2 templates, the Band 9 templates as well, that just speed up your progress incredibly. So that's it from me today. I wish you a beautiful day. I wish you stress-free IELTS preparation. And if you are getting overwhelmed, just one last piece of advice, break it down into small pieces. Maybe just break it down to essay writing. And then if you're still overwhelmed, break it down into conclusions, break it down into grammar, into vocabulary, whichever way. And just focus on that area, get it under control. Once it's under control, maybe you use the feedback tool to get it under control. Use the essay checker, whatever. Tick that box and move on to the next challenge. Just break it down. And before you know it, with some consistent hard work, you'll be in Canada. Or you'll be in Scotland like Alex was, the Polish pharmacist. He got himself to Scotland. There's no reason why you can't get yourself to Canada. Take your family from Dubai or from Saudi Arabia. Get them into Australia. Get them into Canada. And just one last thing. There's never been a better time. You know, the pandemic disrupted everything. Now Canada's behind on the amount of requests or the amount of invites. The UK needs workers since it left the European Union. It's opened the door. Now everybody who goes into the UK has to take IELTS. Before that, the European Union citizens did not need any qualification. So, you know, there's never been a better time. And I want you to take that. I want you to think about that today. And hopefully that'll motivate you to take the next step and to start working on your IELTS preparation, ideally today. So have a super day and take care.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.